And we're supposed to be live. We're supposed to be live. So the question is, are we? The question is, are we?
Potentially.
That's the challenging part. So I'm checking right now. All right, we're live. All right, awesome. We are early. We know this.
Actually, technically,
I mean, we're late. We're also early. We know this. So we are early. Yeah, we have to start time. Actually, I guess that's late. I mean, we're late. We're also early. So from now on, WordCast, yeah, start time. Late. Still 2 hours. So from now on, WordCast, yeah, start time. But point is, yeah. So anyway, okay, yeah,
showing two.
There was desktop audio. Oh, the mic input?
Yes.
Did that? I clicked mute. I wonder if it unmuted when I turned off OBS. That should be better now. Guys, tell me if that's better now. I am really sorry. Tell me if that's better now. I hope that's better.
Okay. I will do a very quick TLDR of the last little bit. So
it's good. It's good. Yeah, let's restart that little bit there. Sorry about that. Thank you, Chris and Alexander.
TLDR of what I was just talking about, in case you couldn't understand me at all. Deepfake was a user. Now there's software based around this idea of using AI to insert people's faces into videos that they weren't a part of. So right now it's being seen in the use of porn, but we're very likely going to see this expand to other industries. And
it's kind of scary what it could be used for.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of quality face swap for all kinds of stuff, like you said, you can make
politics, crime.
Yeah. We want to make sure we get everything in here because apparently nobody could hear anything we were saying. But yeah, so basically, yeah, you want to, it has potentially really far-fetched implications where it looks like politicians are saying something or famous people are saying something they didn't. So there also high alien technology. Nice to see you in the stream.
There was a good comment on Reddit. I know Phil DeFranco pointed this out in his video talking about it today, where he was the comment was essentially, if everything can be real, nothing is real. If there's a video of you committing a crime, you can say, I'm being framed. This video was deepfaked.
And it's so easy to change. Yeah.
As deepfakes AI improves, it's going to get harder and harder to tell, no, that's not real. And it's going to get to a point of, what do you do?
Well, at that point, so security footage is generally not something that's easily accessible in terms of the servers that it's stored on. So manipulation of that isn't going to be easy. Plus, there are ways that you could go detect manipulation to the original video file.
For now.
The question is, could it get worse in the future?
When AI gets to the point where it can literally just edit the ones and zeros of the file as well, which eventually people will figure out ways to do that.
They will indeed. Yeah.
At which point it's going to eventually be undetectable virtually.
And that wouldn't be good. Now, now of course, the idea would be we need better security in terms of like the servers that are recording from these cameras in order to, keep that locked down.
Keep in mind how much crimes and stuff are dealt with not from security cameras.
Yes.
Like when,
your phone or whatever is recording it.
I mean, we see cell phone video of a person getting shot by a cop. Well, the cop can say, that wasn't me, that was edited to look like me.
Exactly. And it's something that the thing is, it is a viable thing they could say with actual precedent behind it.
Yeah, and it's a viable thing that can be done if you wanted to frame someone and you get the right images of their face, especially if it's a cop, someone that's in public regularly, a politician, a celebrity.
Exactly.
It's very easy to get the images.
It's really easy to get that. It's the same issue when we were talking about Apple's Face ID being able to potentially construct a 3D model to trick that. Just tell a zoom lens on a camera, get pictures of a few sides of their face, and all of a sudden you make a 3D model and can unlock their phone.
Yeah,
it's the same situation here, where it's not hard to get that data from people, and it wouldn't even be hard to get that data from people, especially people that have an online presence, podcasters and stuff like us.
Yeah, we're already seeing some online personalities show up in deepfakes.
Yes.
I know that like iJustine, there was one for iJustine, there was one for a couple of other like Instagram and YouTube celebrities, because they're literally posting pictures and video of themselves, which is exactly what you need to make this work.
Yep.
So this is going to be a very big deal. I would not be surprised if we end up talking about this over, whatever, in a few weeks or in a week or whatever, because stuff will come up about this. This is growing.
It's going to be a long-term thing.
Yes.
We're going to talk about it more on the podcast for sure, as more things come out.
Deepfake isn't going to be the only one of these.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so we have quite a bit more to cover actually. So let's jump into this next one because this is a big segment here.
Yes.
So some rumors going around, right?
Yes and no. So essentially, what this was, Axios put out a big report that the Trump administration, specifically the National Security Council, had a document that was looking into the idea of building out a U.S. government-run 5G network. This was I believe, like a PowerPoint presentation talking about why they would want to do this, the benefits of it, how it would work in practicality.
Daniel coughed.
Yes.
It's important to note.
I'm a commentator.
So this wouldn't be like all 5G would be government run. The idea would be with how many new things are going to be put out over the or utilizing cellular networks over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. A government run network where they control the hardware that is being chosen for this could be vital for security. There's been
they're not necessarily wrong about that either.
There's been a lot of concern of Huawei as a big example where the U.S. government believes that they are compromised by the Chinese government and believes that they are being influenced, and they have some sort of evidence that they have been showing to AT&T and Verizon because AT&T canceled their deal last minute. Verizon canceled their deal.
Yeah, and Huawei's CEO was mad about it. We talked about that a little bit. And the question I actually had in that situation was, what we had mentioned was, they must have some kind of evidence, of course. But, how easy would it be for any other company to have that happen? Everything's manufactured over there.
But the difference is when your design is being done there,
and your manufacturing versus your design
how much
here.
influence the Chinese government has over its businesses in the country.
Yes.
It is very easy to get them to not just backload code, because if you were, a U.S. company but you were manufacturing in China and you inspected your stuff and you noticed that code, you'd freak out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're Huawei, you'll hide the code.
You will. Yes. Although it would be, extra hardware chips and stuff being added to, Apple's phones, their Foxconn would be something that's possible.
Yeah, but Apple would notice that because they designed the phones.
Yes.
And especially someone like Apple or like Google, although Google's probably not going to do their manufacturing in China, which we'll talk about later.
Yep.
But the biggest concern for the U.S. government seems to be not so much on the focus of phones, even though that is a big concern. It's on the back-end hardware for the network, because Huawei is one of the major players in that type of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And since 5G is about to be rolled out, and we're looking at Internet of Things being 5G connected in a lot of cases, we're looking at self-driving cars, AI applications, all of these different major emerging technologies, some of which directly affect people's lives in very significant ways if they go wrong or are attacked.
Yeah.
It is very concerning to have, if there is actual evidence of Huawei doing things for the Chinese government, it would be very concerning to have this stuff running on Huawei hardware.
Yes.
And so that's what the whole point of this was. Now, the reason I say was is the Trump administration responded to this and stated, and this is pretty believable because they're not building it out, that the point of this was not actually like Trump saying let's do it, or the head of the National Security Council. This was a proposal by one employee because of a response to the general government concerns about Huawei and other Chinese manufacturers.
Yeah, and I can understand their concern in that direction. So of course, something that I would like to see in the news would potentially be government-run fiber, not government-run 5G.
Yeah.
Because there is competition in that area. Yes. Now, we'll have to see, because this isn't the government-running infrastructure, though.
This was a proposal specifically... This was they were going to build out a government-run network. It was going to be for specific applications.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
So it wouldn't be for cell phone service.
Yeah, right.
Maybe like emergency services would use it, but it would mainly be for things like self-driving cars.
Right. Okay.
Which
that makes sense.
Need to be internet connected. So if you could have them all connect to something is going to be secure in some more. Not know it's going to be secure. Expect it to be more secure.
Right.
Then that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But this was it's the National Security Council's job to protect national security.
Exactly. To
and
address
so
these
looking
kinds
into
of things.
Something like this makes sense.
Yes, it does.
That's ultimately what it comes down to.
Alien Technology had mentioned, he's saying Huawei doesn't make bad phones.
That's not.
Yeah, and that's not that. No, I think he might have been saying that separate. But Huawei makes good phones. The issue is we're talking security here because of where the company itself is based.
Yes.
The
U.S. government has reason to believe that they are being influenced by the Chinese government to spy on U.S. citizens.
Yes. He also mentioned cellular internet is going to be really important going forward. I totally agree. It already is.
It's just going to keep growing.
And it's just going to keep growing, especially, I think, with better connected cars.
Yes.
I think that's going to be a big thing in that direction.
Yeah.
So,
I think
absolutely.
that something like Tesla's higher capacity, higher speed, lower latency satellite internet is going to be vital because satellites launched from the U.S.
Yeah.
are already heavily regulated by the U.S. government.
Yes, yeah. I'm interested in what kind of latencies are possible in terms of the speed of light.
Yeah.
Due to satellite communication.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan is with SpaceX's plan specifically is it's going to be in lower Earth orbit, correct, so that there's less latency because Elon Musk said it won't be viable unless it's gaming viable.
Right, which probably means we're looking at 10 millisecond ping or so to it directly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Next topic. Or do you have more you want to mention on that? Oh, I guess Ajit Pai also stated
he was against this plan.
He was against this plan, which of course he would be.
He's against anything government run.
Right, which is unfortunate because in this situation, like this isn't like, hey, let's roll out like this isn't even really going against anything that he has claimed to stand for.
No, but he just wants anything cellular or internet related, communications related, pretty much, to be private.
To be private, yeah, privatized, which is not always the best solution, as we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on forward to the next topic. This is one that I threw in here, that was interesting to me. So I've talked about it before. Intel's 3 cross-point memory, which is in their new Optane SSDs, like the Optane 900p, right? Optane-based SSDs are incredibly fast, not so much directly in terms of raw throughput, which they are because they tend to not get to the higher Q depths. So their throughput at lower Q depths is better than a lot of other SSDs. But the biggest thing with 3D cross-point based storage or Optane-based storage is the lower latency. We're talking below 10 microsecond latency, which is very close to what DRAM is capable of.
Yeah.
And so, of course, people are going to try and compete with this, right? So Samsung's new Z-NAND based SSDs, which we actually talked about Samsung's Z-NAND on another podcast, probably 3 or 4 episodes ago. But they actually have an SSD that's coming out for it. It's going to be available for enterprise customers, unfortunately not consumers. I'm sure you'll be able to find them on eBay for ridiculous prices if you really wanted to put one in a rig, for example. But this is the SZ985 is the model number for it. And it's going to come in, 800 gigabyte and 240 gigabyte variants. So pretty big differential there, which is weird to me to have 800 and 240, but there's nothing over a terabyte and there's nothing in between. A little bit of a weird segment in my opinion. But they're going to have 1.5 gigs of low power DDR4 for caching and whatnot, of course.
Question.
Yes.
So is this doing the same idea of being higher physical capacity but then using less for multiple different reasons?
Yes,
because I'm wondering if it's actually like 512 gig and a terabyte.
It probably is. It's over provisioning is what it's called. Yeah, correct. That is over provisioning is common. I just still find it weird that there's not a middle segment there that's over provisioned to like 750 gigs and is like a 512 gig model, right? That's what's weird to me. Over provisioning is really common, and that helps reliability of SSDs drastically. As something failed, you just switch to the new stuff, and then you're good to go for a while. Now I'll get to the reliability of these in a bit, but anyway, so 1.5 gigs of low power DDR4 RAM for caching. The 800 gigabyte model has a write latency rated at 16 microseconds, so not less than 10 like Optane, and some of the Optane parts are rated at 7 microseconds, whereas DRAM is closer to 5, I believe, generally speaking. So it's a little bit slower in terms of latency, but still a drastic improvement over the 100 plus microseconds that we see from just standard NVMe based regular NAND SSDs like triple level cell SSDs and stuff. So pretty impressive in my opinion. I'm excited to see these come to market, but of course they're not for consumer yet. Intel's already ahead on that. Optane's been out for enterprise for a while now. So I don't know. Now, let's see here. Yeah, like I said, that 900p is less than 10 microseconds, the Optane 900p. And then the random read and write IOPS are rated at 750,000 read and 170,000 write. So the write being pretty low, but the read being insanely high, which of course the goal here is lower latency read and, lower latency reads and writes, but also in particular higher speed reads is one of the big goals of these SSDs. Of course, that's what it's rated at, so the actual could be higher or lower. We've seen it go both ways with Samsung. But now for the big stuff, the reliability here. So we're looking at 30 drive writes per day, estimated within its warranty period.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking a total of 42 petabytes of writes to this drive for the 800 gigabyte model before it's expected to have a failure.
How many days?
Well, I can do the math if you want to give your thoughts on this.
Yeah. Because it's like you say 30 raids per day.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Here, let me do the math while you're doing your thing.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for this. I'm pretty much. I mean, obviously, I can't buy this yet for consumers.
Right.
But once this stuff is consumer facing, I'll wait until we see what developers do with it. I'm expecting specific applications to show up to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
And once we do see something cool like that, then I'll be interested in picking it up.
Right. I'm having weird issues with...
It's too long of a number for...
No, I know, but I should be able to get... There we go. I just wanted to make sure I had the math done right.
Yeah, other than that, it's really cool.
I mean, I'm certainly excited for it. All right, let me see. I did that. So we're looking at... well, the estimated... So that would be an equivalent to 52,500 drive writes, if I'm understanding correctly, which if you divide by 30 writes per day...
1,700 days. That's not too bad.
Yeah, so that's pretty solid right there. I mean, we're talking several years. 1,750 days. That is something that's solid. Also, a couple of comments I wanted to... let's see. Yeah, Alien Technology mentions they should have started at 512 gigs for the target group they're going after. I agree on the enterprise level. They're willing to pay for anything, and so starting at a higher capacity would make more sense.
Yeah. I think it's just consistency in manufacturing, because, like, how often do you see 750 gig SSDs ever being manufactured?
Right. I mean,
so they're literally just taking... They're essentially just manufacturing the same set of... actual NAND chips that they normally do on drives, and then just down provisioning them to whatever they need.
Yes, and you know, it's understandable. It's new technology too, so it's just a little bit surprising to me that they don't have anything over a terabyte either, because they'd be willing to pay for that on the enterprise level as well. I'm excited to see some actual reviews, which I'm sure like Alan Malventano over at PC Per will be doing a review on it, and I'm curious to see how it actually stacks up in benchmarks to the 900p. But it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about the Whopper.
Also, no, we did not buy the flamethrower. I want to. I just have to pay deposit to move soon, so I can't justify the money.
And I can't justify it because I have things that are more important to buy.
No, you don't.
No, I need a flamethrower. Yeah,
yes.
Right.
That's far more important than more storage and RAM and graphics.
Right, I know. I don't need network attached storage for all these videos or anything. No.
You can flamethrower.
I can flamethrower.
You can make videos about the flamethrower.
But where am I going to put the videos, Daniel?
Cloud.
But what if I don't have 8 terabytes of storage in the cloud?
Get 8 terabytes of storage in the cloud.
But that's more expensive than building.
Just wait till they go on sale again and buy the 8 terabyte Reds at Best Buy for super cheap.
No, the plan is to get an technically 16 terabyte, but an 8 terabyte usable NAS for the time being.
I know.
And then build a 64 terabyte NAS. That's the plan for videos. Huh?
See, a flamethrower video would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
Your subscribers are telling you to do it.
I know, they want me to do a flamethrower video, but I don't have the money to spend on that right now either. Make my own flamethrower. Yes. So you're saying, pour butane in my mouth and spit. I'm just kidding, that's not a flamethrower. No. My mouth...
Don't try that at home, kids.
Don't try that at home. Alright.
Whopper neutrality.
Whopper. Alright, so I don't eat Burger King, but the Whopper is a thing. Okay.
So Burger King did a very odd ad. I get completely why they did it. It's just pulling into something that's very popular to talk about right now.
Yes.
And it's just viral marketing at its most basic. Essentially, though, what they did was, because a lot of people don't understand net neutrality, they used Whoppers to explain it.
And it makes sense to me for them to do this. Like you said, it really is just, to their executives, a big marketing point. Yeah. Because most Americans realistically agree with net neutrality.
Especially when they understand what it is.
And right. And so
that's what this ad does. So essentially what the ad is you go in, you go to Burger King, their core item is the Whopper, so you order the Whopper. Well, if you don't really pay attention to the menu, you don't notice that there's Whoppers with different Mbps.
Yes, yes.
And what that meant was essentially the amount of burgers that are being made.
Yes,
at the speed. So you pay up for getting burgers faster in the queue. If you order the basic...
Making burgers per second.
Yes. If you order burgers at the base price, you have to wait a certain amount of time to get it, even if the burger is ready. There was literally a scene in this ad where they're holding the bag with the food in it, looking at his watch, waiting for the time to hit.
It's great.
And people were getting pissed off and trying to grab the bag. Obviously, this is all actors.
Yeah, of course. It's an ad, right? But like, you're not actually going to experience this if you go to BK,
No.
of course. But yeah.
But it was a great way to explain to consumers why this is a problem.
Now, I don't think
in a way that they would understand.
I think they did a good job of the basis, but I don't think they did as good of a job explaining it as I would have preferred.
Well, yeah, but you would prefer everyone to know all the finite details.
Okay.
This is literally explaining it to
that.
super mainstream normies in a basic
It is,
way.
but I think, the delay on your Whopper time is not equivalent to slowed down internet traffic.
No, but it's the easiest way to explain it.
It's a good way to explain it, I guess. It's just, to me, in some ways, it feels inaccurate because you're not paying... you are paying more to get something delivered faster, but also in terms of something like Netflix or whatever, you're paying more to get it to function at all. Mm-hmm. And that's, but still, I appreciate them explaining it to normies. Yeah. Right? I'm not
Netflix,
us nerds that are watching this.
Depending on how things go, because realistically, the way that things are going to go isn't going to be you pay for... I highly doubt we're going to see companies like Comcast say you have to pay extra for Netflix.
Right.
It's going to be that they charge you or they charge Netflix for you to get the proper speeds, otherwise it will be slowed down.
Yes.
And so I think that by having BSQ times in this ad, I think it was done very well, because even if your Netflix is running slower, you can pause and let it buffer.
Yeah, to them
it's to watch it. So I think it's
to them. I mean, to people, it hits them in an understanding
easy to
way,
explain 1 minute video. It was done very well. I just thought it was hilarious and a nice ad by Burger King, so I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not a big topic, so we do have to move on.
Yeah, if you know anyone that does not understand net neutrality and you want an easy way to explain it, show them
that ad so that they understand what's going on. Okay, so the Razer Siren Elite. So the Razer Siren is a microphone that came out from Razer for, what was it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Something like that. It was a while ago. Decent microphone. It actually compared to the Yeti fairly well. The Yeti usually came out on top, but I mean, it was a good microphone. Nothing wrong with it. It wasn't bad by any means. Well, the Razer Siren Elite is supposedly elite. It's taking that to the next level. And, I mean, it looks promising. Of course, we'll have to see reviews because specifications are really hard to judge a, microphone's basis, right? But if it's good enough, I may end up buying that as one of our podcast microphones. It's supposed to be USB professional grade, and what they mean by it, they're claiming you're not, you don't need an interface and all that other kind of stuff, preamps and stuff like that to get the same sound, to get the quality sound that you want, versus a lot of USB microphones, like even the Yeti, that aren't that great. The idea here is this is supposed to be a really good USB microphone. I'm skeptical, but, I'm interested in seeing what it's like. I wouldn't
doubt if they have a lot of the base tech for how those would work built in, and then they're just running it through that type of stuff and then to the USB port.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you can buy a lot of that hardware that plugs in via USB.
Yeah, I mean, you all are going to route it through USB
So it would make sense that you could eventually throw all of that into the mic when you can make the text small enough.
Correct. I mean, it's digital one way or another. Yeah. Even if you were using the analog ports on your motherboard's microphone input, it's converted to digital, right? That's how things work. All my headphones and stuff in my PC, I mean, obviously, if it's coming from a PC, it's digital, but all my headphones and stuff, they're plugged in through a USB-based DAC. So that's understandable. It's not that you can't get good quality from USB. It's that right now it's been really hard to properly do that. There's been a lot of companies that, even like Blue, that haven't achieved it anywhere near as good as we'd like to see. If you hear the difference between this and an actual like studio grade microphone setup, which of course is like $800, really nice microphone, really nice interface, really nice analog digital converter, and really nice preamp. Right, you're gonna get really good quality audio, and that's expected for that price. You're having to spend a lot of money. I'd like to see something USB based, even if it's $400, that can give you really good quality. And so that's something that maybe we'll end up switching to if it's good enough. Specs on it: 16-bit audio. It's a cardioid pattern, USB based, as we mentioned. 120 decibel SPL is what it's rated at. Doesn't really mean anything to me in terms of quality, right? And so we'll see. But
it's supposed to have things like it's got a built-in high-pass filter.
Yes.
It's got a built-in vocal limiter, so it's supposed to help prevent clipping, things like that if you get too loud.
So we'll just have to see if it's good. If it is, we'll probably replace this. This will be our guest microphone for when we get another camera and another angle that we're doing on the podcast here. So, just something interesting I wanted to point out to people.
It gets rid of the screen, the weird like OLED screen that the Siren has, because
which is
realistically don't need that.
Yeah.
So might as well make it.
Do they have a price listed yet?
$199.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
it's not even if it's not actually pro grade.
Yeah.
It's probably worth it.
Yes.
Based on where the regular Siren was, if it's actually a decent amount better, then it's worth it.
Yes. If you look at like the Blue Yeti, about $120.
Yeah.
Ish. 130.
So if it's a decent amount better,
if it's better, and then it's probably worth it. Which the Yeti's MSRP was, I think, $150. I think. So we'll see. We'll have to see. So Google did something interesting, and this is something we talked about a while ago on the podcast about them buying HTC, or a portion of HTC, as we said.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened?
So they started the process a while back. Obviously, those really big transactions of buying part of a company take a long time. They finally closed.
A lot of legal approval and stuff, and so it's closed.
As of Monday, the deal closed.
Now, do we know if it closed on Google's terms the same way that was originally presented?
They didn't state anything otherwise.
Okay.
The 2,000 plus engineers that are moving over to Google are still staying in Taiwan.
Which makes sense. I mean, I think we could expect that.
They're not going to make them all move.
It's not like, we bought your company, so if you want a job, move to America. It's like,
they were buying the employee. Essentially, they were buying the contracts of the employees. They weren't buying the company.
Right.
And so these 2,000...
They essentially paid $1.1 billion for employees.
Yes, it was a mass hiring of very talented engineers.
It was. Very talented engineers.
And so the main focus is going to be on the Pixel lineup, but we're also seeing a lot of employees... a lot of design on Google Home, that type of thing.
Right.
What maths are you doing?
I'm doing maths. So that's about $500,000 per employee.
Yes.
That's what Google paid.
Yeah. But you're also getting core teams that know how to work together.
Oh no, they'll make the money
probably
back.
taking over parts of the R&D that have already been done, that type of thing. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be in this deal that they're going to tell us about.
Oh yeah, they'll make that money back in no time. Yeah.
So this makes Taipei now Google's biggest engineering site in the Asia Pacific region.
Yes. Kind of crazy.
So I'm assuming that the next week or two is literally just going to be getting everyone transitioned in this new systems, figured out, getting everything going.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's going to take a few years to see how this goes. Google was saying that they, within 5 years, want to be shipping what they consider high volume, meaning being a mainstream product rather than being
an
phone,
enthusiast-based product.
which hopefully fucking means getting off of being just Verizon exclusive.
Yes, and also many other things.
Yes, but that's the biggest.
But that's the biggest thing for me is it's just like as a general consumer, if you want a good phone, right, you go through your carrier. That's just how it is.
Because most people aren't going to pay $1,000 up front or $800 up front.
Exactly.
And nobody's going to buy the Essential phone.
I mean, I've been considering it.
Yeah, but you're weird.
I'm not weird. It's amazing now. Other than the camera's still not that great. How often do I take pictures with my phone? Not that often.
But you also constantly talk about using your phone as a B camera.
But I never set that up.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun topic. But I mean, it's cheap now.
Worse.
It's cheap now. It's gotten worse? Okay,
Yes.
I'm interested in this. Okay, so anyway, Nero.
Yes.
So
new company.
N-U-R-O, new company, not the Nero audio stuff you've heard about.
I should say not a new company, just a company that's been working in stealth until recently.
Yes.
So what this is, a couple former Google employees.
No, they formed the company yesterday and they came out with a product today.
Yes. A couple former Google employees have been working on a brand new type of self-driving car. This is not meant to be, you know, a new SUV or a new whatever. What they're essentially doing is they're taking a car specifically being manufactured for last mile deliveries, meaning like dry cleaning, grocery delivery, Postmates, that type of thing.
Yep.
And the idea is that
which saves companies a lot of money.
Yeah. This car would be just that. So like a dry cleaning business could buy one of these, have it delivered to 4 different people's houses, come back.
It's kind of the future that we have seen for self-driving cars that we've kind of thought about previously, of not just think of a car, but it drives itself, but new form factors.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, I don't have screen capture set up. I reformatted this computer recently. That's part of why we were late. So I can't show you guys a picture of it.
It looks like a lunchbox on wheels.
It really does. I'm going to put a link in both of the chats so that you guys can actually look at it directly. This is from The Verge, courtesy of The Verge, so I just want to point that out, give them credit for that. So I figured I'd post the link there so you guys can see what it looks like. It's funky looking, but it looks like a future vehicle would.
Yes.
And it's something that is more of a, you know, a convenience city-based item.
Yeah.
Where it's handling stuff that you don't necessarily need people for anymore, but it makes more sense to have a smaller vehicle that is designed, purpose-built for that type of delivery versus just a regular car driving somewhere.
So to describe this vehicle for people that can't pull up the article right now, it's essentially like a glass front panel.
Yep.
It looks like a lunchbox, and on the sides there's 2 doors. I believe there would be 2 on each side, although we only see one side.
Yeah, we
so
only see the one side of it. Is this a 3D render or an actual photo of a product?
I believe it's an actual photo based on this. Yeah. No, based on this one. The GIF.
Okay, okay, that's an actual
But
photo.
essentially what this would be is it would have 2 upward opening doors, like scissor doors.
It's like 8 feet long, too. It's really small.
2 upward opening doors on the sides.
Kind of like gull-wing doors.
You would use, the idea would be like when it shows up, you would get notified via an app on your phone.
Yep.
You would go up and it would either like scan a QR code or some interaction with your phone to notify the car of you being you. And then it would open any of the doors applicable to you. So if you got a bunch of groceries, you might need 2 or 3. If it's just one person for like dry cleaning or a pizza, then just one door.
And then it can go deliver the other parts to the next person. This is a really good idea. I especially think this is a good idea for a couple of things. So first off, it's a good idea until drones start to take over a lot of delivery services. But I still think after that,
good for every
exactly. I think after that, this is going to be really good for delivery of perishable goods that maybe weigh a lot and can't be jostled around very much, as well as larger, heavier items, or other various things. Especially something that maybe is affected by the wind greatly. It's a big panel or something, or whatnot. So I think this has
pizza.
Or a pizza. I think this has a long-term future ahead of it. Even with drone delivery coming into play for a lot of products, you order your graphics card or whatever, it shows up on your porch. This is something, or if you order an entire computer, right? That'd be a good example for the nerds watching the show, right? You decide to, order a, an actual like system integrator computer from Main Gear or something, and it comes in one of these, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea personally. I think it's really cool. This is self-driving tech that I'm almost more interested in than my car self-driving, because I personally love driving myself. Other than in traffic, I love the idea of an autopilot system on the freeway in traffic, right? But I enjoy the act of driving.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Some people it's an inconvenience. But this is something that could benefit everybody, even people that hate self-driving because they want to drive themselves and they don't want the human aspect taken away from it.
And on top of that, I think that when you look at compared to something like a taxi service, people are going to be more okay with this earlier on.
Yes.
Because, well, yes, it can still crash into another vehicle. This isn't meant to be on the freeway. This isn't meant to be going super fast. This is literally for, like,
well, there's other advantages, too. It's not just a matter of speed.
Well, I know, but what I was going to say is you're not getting in this car. You don't... If it crashes into, like, a wall, worst case scenario, you got to get new food.
Yeah, right. Which is not a big deal.
It's going to help ease the transition into self-driving, because self-driving is happening no matter what.
Yes.
It's just going to be a matter of...
Well, it's going to be a matter of insurance companies influencing people to do it. It's going to be a matter of when self-driving gets more adopted by people that want it and want to use it, and then insurance companies go, oh, hey, your insurance is going to be $800 a month or $200 a month if you have a car with autopilot that you let it drive for you.
Yeah.
And that's just because they're going to be better drivers. They're going to be factually proven better drivers, and in a lot of cases they already are. You can get discounts. You know, basically you click a checkbox. Yes, I have a Tesla and I'm going to use autopilot, and they go, okay, well there's $20 off your insurance bill, and that's because it is generally speaking safer because it can't not pay attention, and it has quicker reaction time than a human can. Now, of course, there are weird scenarios where there are cases where, you know, self-driving vehicles, this is a case that I love bringing up, where there are instances where the programmers and engineers behind it will have to literally program it to kill somebody. Because when it has to decide, I have three places I can crash, there's 3 people, 2 people, or 1 person. It's going to hit the 1 person, right? Which, in general, I mean, it's not like you can do facial recognition instantly and determine that, oh, that's a high-value person, don't hit them.
And how do you value people?
That's the other question is, oh, well, just because, you know, that person is wealthy and these people aren't, doesn't make them, you know, high-value person.
Now,
and so you're programming the car to run over 1 person and not 3 people.
One other thing I want to bring up, because that gets brought up a lot in the topics of self-driving. Keep in mind, self-driving is also going to dramatically reduce the amount of instances where that type of thing could come up.
Yes,
because
exactly.
Self-driving can detect what is happening in front of the car in front of it.
Yes.
And as we mentioned,
can communicate with other vehicles.
That's what I was
what
going
they're
to say.
Seeing. Yes.
What we mentioned earlier about self-driving and networks too.
Yep.
You could theoretically have a network built out that would utilize cameras for like street cameras.
Well, not even just
along with all of the cars in the area communicating.
Yes.
And they could all be so essentially.
I mean,
your car
you could have crosswalks and stuff communicating with it, saying, "Hey, you press that crosswalk button." It tells every vehicle to be on high alert for people going across the street right now.
But you could have essentially a car know what is going on in all of the public space within a few blocks.
Yes, I mean you can have a situation where you know you have an ambulance that's about to turn right.
Yeah.
Right, and they flip on their signal, and all of a sudden all the cars here know that there's an ambulance coming in this direction before you could physically see it. Right, and then they all can pull over, so the ambulance can haul 120 miles an hour through there instead of 40 miles an hour because it doesn't have to wait for people to get out of the way.
Once the networks and software are built out for this type of thing, an ambulance could report where it's going in its route, and it would be able to clear the entire route.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, it could be to the point where instead of cars pulling over, you just take turns in the neighborhoods and stuff, route around it, and they all wait and do proper delay so the ambulance can get the person to the hospital 4 times quicker to save lives.
If it's on a 4-lane roadway, it could just move all the cars into 1 lane. Cars would still be going.
Yeah, or even into 3 of the 4 lanes. Yeah. As long as there's 1 ambulance, and then they just...
Well, I mean, like 2 this way, 2 this way, the 2 going... on the
I get what you're saying. And then, of course, there's always going to be that one guy that likes his classic petroleum-based car, which is fine, and there'll be people that are enthusiasts, and he'll pull out in front of the ambulance and cause a crash.
Now, very long-term, I wouldn't doubt to see that get banned, but probably not in our lifetimes.
No, I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of enthusiasts out there, and I understand, classic cars are still around, right? So it's like... there are going to be people that like to drive their own cars. There are going to be people that like petroleum-based cars. They're not going to go away permanently unless they're outlawed by government, which, let's be honest, in America is probably not going to happen.
Well, initially, I feel like it's going to be like you're going to see local areas where they have self-driving only roads.
Yeah.
But eventually, we are going to get to the point where there's going to be enough self-driving cars on the road that 99% of the accidents will be human drivers.
Yeah.
And there will there will be so few self-driving accidents and so many, relatively speaking, regular accidents, it will be irresponsible to allow driving.
Yeah, which is and so I think for a while
we'll guaranteeing the right to drive.
Yes, and I think for a while we'll see, if you see a person, there'll be a point where if you see a person driving a petroleum car or hear a person driving a petroleum-based car, it's like that person is a wealthy car enthusiast. That's what they are. That's what the eventual long-term future is, and a lot of people hate the idea of that, but I think a lot of people like the idea of that too.
I feel like
we do need to move on.
As that gets approaching, we've got 45 minutes.
I mean, we got 45 minutes, but we got some especially big topics.
As we get closer to that, I feel like it's going to be a great idea to invest in tracks. To drive cars.
Because people are still going to want to race.
Yes.
I mean, I like driving. I'm still going to want to do kart racing and stuff like that, right? So, it's an interesting future that we're looking at, though. So, Microsoft acquiring a major game publisher.
Potentially.
Maybe, potentially 3, but probably 1. But potentially.
Yeah. So, essentially, there are rumors floating around I know Polygon talked about a couple of other places, claim they have inside sources that indicate that Microsoft is considering either purchasing EA, Valve, or PUBG Corp.
So first off, EA's out.
Not necessarily. They're considering doing it, so it's not out.
Yeah, but what I want, well, it's rumors. First off, what I want to say is, if Microsoft has the cash to buy out EA,
they don't need the cash. They need investors to agree it's a good idea.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But
if EA is profitable,
I don't think
it makes sense to do because it would be profit.
It'd be profit,
and they could fix a lot of the problems.
I think Microsoft has been trying to restructure their image for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think buying EA is ruining their image.
Depends on how they advertise it. Because you can easily say, we know you guys love these IPs like Mass Effect,
Battlefront,
Star Wars. We want to help fix that.
And if they do,
they would be beloved by gamers.
They would.
So I think that EA is the second most likely option.
Yes, I think.
So essentially, the three companies are EA, Valve, and PUBG Corporation.
Yes.
We both think that PUBG Corporation is the most likely for a number of reasons.
I mean, A, they're going to be the cheapest if any financials have to be included. Mm-hmm. B, they have a huge following and a lot of future potential without a lot of bad press behind them at all. And people mostly like them.
Yeah. They also work with Microsoft.
Yes, and they have the thing is, people go, well, that's only one game. Why would that matter? You got to understand
it's the Microsoft game right now.
Yeah, so PUBG is literally the biggest game on the planet other than League right now. Yeah, they did that with Minecraft. Yeah, but the other thing is, you have to remember, they're buying a publishing studio full of developers that are worth a lot of money. The devs behind PUBG, whether you think they're doing good work or not with the game, are valuable developers.
Yeah. And PUBG is going to be the cheapest of these three options. It's while they probably won't spend very little money, it is a relatively speaking inexpensive way to get their game publishing on a higher ground. And then they can also say fuck it to the idea of ever putting PUBG on PlayStation, and they've got themselves a solid lifetime console-based exclusive.
Yes, they do. The other thing is, again, developers are worth money, and IP is worth money.
Yeah. If they go the route of buying EA or Valve, I don't think they will use this to bump up their exclusivity. Yeah. I think that they will be smart and keep it on multi-platform completely, like they did with Minecraft.
They would need to in a lot of ways. Yeah.
But we know that Microsoft is really wanting to bolster their game development because, let's be real, of all of the major consoles, the three major ones, the Xbox has the weakest exclusives by far.
Oh, by a huge margin, and that's unarguable. And exclusivity is something I don't like. But, of course, we're not going to get into that debate right now. But I don't like the idea of exclusivity. But the fact is it makes money. And Microsoft likes to do that. And Microsoft is learning they want to keep things exclusive between PC and Xbox and not the other consoles.
Which is perfect for PUBG.
Which makes sense for PUBG. It makes sense for Microsoft. And for us PC gamers out there, we're not taking a negative hit, even though we might be on the winning side of a stupid battle in that sense, in my opinion. But
every game
at least
we're
on the winning side. Yeah, right, exactly. Every game should be on Switch.
Now let's talk about the idea of them buying Valve.
Not going to happen. Gabe Newell's not giving up his baby.
I mean, we'll see. Depends on how much money they throw at it.
But I don't think Gabe Newell's in it just for money. Yes, but Gabe Newell has so much money. I don't think he keeps Valve around for the money. I think Gabe, he was a founder of Valve.
But he also doesn't publish games anymore.
Yes. Although they might be. They've been working on stuff. They've been working on Source 2.
But they've been working on stuff for years.
Yes, but that doesn't mean they can't. But that's not Gabe's fault necessarily either.
He's in control of the company.
Okay, it's Gabe's fault. But the thing is, I don't think he's going to give up his child.
I don't think we'd be hearing about them considering it if they wouldn't have had a conversation with Valve that it's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know that if they don't just say like,
let's just
I'm thinking about buying this thing that's not sellable.
Alien saying Gabe wouldn't sell to Microsoft. He's had a feud with them for years, and that's true too.
But again, personally, my point of this wouldn't be a heavy consideration if it wasn't viable.
But it's a rumor too, so we have to keep that intact too. Is maybe this was just a rumor that they ended up finding a list of publishers that Microsoft wants, not ones that they even, these are like, hey, let's try and go after these people. You executives go after these 3 publishers and see which one. So this may have been a list that came from before they talked to any of the publishers. That's still possible.
We'll see. I
mean, it's
find
because
that
it's a
unlikely.
rumor.
I know, but if the rumor is to be believed, they are also close to some sort of agreement with one of these companies, and we are expecting an announcement soon.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, if Gabe Newell is willing to sell, I think that it would be very, very, very profitable for Microsoft to do this. I don't want them to. Personally, I would actually, of all these, prefer they buy EA.
I would too, actually. I would prefer.
The decent things about Origin, now that they've improved it a lot, spin them into Xbox
into the Xbox
platform.
app and make the Xbox app on PC not trash.
Yep. And
Please.
then we would have a proper competitor to Valve.
Yes, we have
Steam.
a competitor to Steam, which is something that I think we need, because while Steam is great, and I think they generally do pretty good things for the market and are pretty fair with pricing, even though they're a fairly big monopoly on PC. Of course, on PC it's harder to become a monopoly, which is nice. It'd be nice to have another big game platform. Retail platform, because you have of course you have the Blizzard app, you have
GOG,
you have GOG. You have, you kind of have Bethesda's launcher, but it's not. I
feel
really
like
a
Origin
launcher.
and GOG are the only actual competitors, because the other ones just
Blizzard's
just
their games, right? But I was just saying, that's what I'm getting at though, is there's not very much that are even really competitors.
Yeah,
GOG's the biggest one. And Origin's they're still pretty small, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They're really not that large. Steam has still, by a massive margin, the biggest library. And so I'd be interesting. And I would personally like to see a competitor to Steam with the Xbox app, if they could just make it not trash, and also make the communication between people with consoles a little better. Oh, we forgot about Uplay, which is also trash. I mean, it's more trashy and smaller than Origin.
Does Uplay actually sell, third-party games?
I guess it's all Ubisoft, but
that's
it's still a retail platform.
I know, but that's what I'm considering. That's why I don't count Blizzard or Bethesda's, is because I count...
Isn't Origin only EA, though?
No.
Okay, I thought it was originally when it first came out.
Yeah.
Okay,
but no,
okay. I haven't used it forever because it's garbage.
You can buy third-party games.
Yeah. So Alien Technology threw out a few good points. He first said, now, maybe Microsoft would buy some of Valve's IPs, like Left 4 Dead or Half-Life, instead of Valve themselves. Now, it looks like this is more of a acquisition, not just financially, but
I feel like they would want the developers.
They would probably want the devs more than the stuff. Although, if Microsoft bought the rights to Half-Life, made a Half-Life game that wasn't trash and released it, they would immediately become one of the biggest game publishers.
Yes. However, I also want to say... Oh, Uplay does sell other games.
Okay, Uplay sells other games. Thank you for correcting us on that. So, and he's saying the Windows Store is garbage, Uplay stinks, Origin is bad.
Yes.
You are not wrong about all of those at all.
No. I think that if Gabe Newell is not going to sell Valve as a whole to them, if he's not willing to do that, because it's not just about the money for him, he's not going to sell off the IPs to the games that he helped build up so well. If he wants more of those games, he'll just have developers make more of those games.
That's a good point.
It'll either be all or nothing. I don't think that Gabe Newell's going to sell
part. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Especially with Half-Life.
Unless it's actually just about the money and he wants the profit from...
Right. Although, I with Gabe, for whatever reason, and I obviously don't know him, and most people don't know that much about him personally, I think he really does genuinely care about the products that he puts out.
If he did, wouldn't he step up customer service, though, which has always been a big problem on Steam?
That's true. They have been working on that, actually, but it hasn't been going very far.
Is having, one guy respond to emails really working on it?
Yeah, right. But I do love how Gabe still periodically teases Half-Life. You know, he will not confirm or deny, wears a hat, that
every time people ask, they had 10 more years or whatever. Stupid news.
It's so funny. Point is, I would like to see a big competitor to Steam, from, the Xbox app on PC. If I can communicate with console friends, right, and if they can create the console to be a viable platform in other ways. If Microsoft is looking as far ahead as I think we'd like to hope they are, and are looking at potentially having the Xbox stream PC games, not just the other way around, and having it set up so that it's a good partner with the PC, but also a good, how do I get into, I just want to game and I don't have much money market. It's like, well, you go into this, and you don't get all the advantages of owning your own PC, but you get a lot of the advantages that PC includes as a gaming platform. And if they can do that, and then... I mean, we might even eventually see it being sold as a console that can easily mount up like a monitor and a keyboard and mouse. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an Xbox set up that way someday, where it's like, oh, you just want a game, but you like keyboard and mouse? Buy this $500 box or $400 box, and you plug it into a monitor and mouse and keyboard.
If mining
and it's
keeps
like
graphic card prices fucked.
Yes, because right now it is much more financially viable
to buy
if you're
a
just a gamer, if all you want to do is gaming.
Or media.
I still don't like the whole console PC fight in a lot of ways myself. Even though I generally side with PC, it's like they're two different platforms and they have primarily different purposes. And you don't buy a PC for the same reason you buy a console, generally speaking. Right? Now, you might just be gaming, but a PC, a lot of people that are buying them are using them for all the other advantages that a PC can have over what a console can do. But in terms of just gaming, if you are only going to be gaming, a console is a better value than a PC right now. And even using used parts, it's very hard to match the performance of the Xbox One X on a PC right now.
Or even the PS4 Pro for $400.
Which is unfortunate because there, it has been for a while. You could do that. It was just a challenge, and you had to look out for stuff, right?
And you had to buy cheap ones.
And you had to, yes, right. But you could do it. Yes. It was possible if you did the research to get the advantages of PC and similar performance to a console for the same price.
For some games.
For a lot, yeah. I mean, it's, overall, but now you can't, is the point I'm getting at. Where now it's like, if people just want to game, a console's not a bad recommendation unless they're willing to spend $1,000.
Until people figure out a way to mine on console.
Oh, and that's a tough one. That's something that the console manufacturers could so easily block. So I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, you say that, but if they can figure it out, at the very minimum...
They'd have to figure it out hardware-based.
Well, no, what I was going to say is if they can figure out like a crack in the OS that allows them to do it, then as long as you don't update your console...
That's
you could
true.
do it, and then if it's going to be actually like decently
But at
profitable,
that point, Microsoft would push all retailers to be like, you've got to recall these and update them.
No, what I was going to say, though, is you could... The existing ones people have could be used to mine, and then people could just go buy new ones.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay,
and the used market would go insane.
It would.
Yeah.
Bad. I mean, it's going to, if and when this crypto bubble ever pops, we're going to see the used market go insane to the point that I will probably pick up a bunch of used graphics cards because if I can get a 970 for $80, I'm gonna buy several of them to have laying around. Like, I don't care if they're hardcore used or if I get one that's damaged. Just like, hey, we could make some I'm gonna build a new PC. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm gonna make a new PC or I need some artwork for my wall. Whatever,
Yeah.
So that's something I actually kind of am excited for the crypto bubble if and when it pops. Just to flood the used market with stuff where I'm just gonna go buy up things because it's like you might as well, I can buy these cheap CPUs that are laying around too. So if I ever want to build some cheap HTPC or something, or a really portable machine for doing basic gaming like ITX rigs, like you can get those parts for cheap. The things that won't go down in price, of course, are motherboards. But cheap CPUs and graphics cards. And power supplies probably will go down.
And then you'll only pay like 10 times as much for RAM.
I know, exactly. It'll just be the same price.
Yeah. Speaking of increased RAM prices, let's talk about earnings calls.
Earning calls for multiple companies here.
Yes.
We're going to start with AMD here. So now you filled out this section, correct?
So,
okay, yeah.
TLDR is they're profitable, which is awesome.
Yes. That is a big deal. We haven't been able to see that. From
Especially
AMD for a very long time.
They've had individual quarters that were
profitable because of a specific product generally related to RTG, which is really actually that tells you how amazing this recovery on AMD's part was, because they released Vega, which wasn't that great for gaming, but their CPUs are able to compensate so well. Now I know there's more to it, so well that they've been able to bring back market share and be profitable. Of course, they've also been selling every Vega card they can produce because mining.
And, well, not even that. Keep in mind, outside of the desktop-dedicated graphics market, RTG has been doing very, very well.
Oh, yes, they have.
Apple products.
Yes, yes. And even software-wise, it's just desktop hardware.
Yeah.
Desktop gaming hardware.
Intel and AMD partnership is a huge deal.
Yes, it is.
So, RTG is doing very well. They just didn't make cards that are the best for gaming.
And that's the thing that people misunderstand, I think, is AMD's graphics division is still very solid in terms of workstations, albeit they don't have much market share, but they're good at it. Servers, especially with the Vega architecture, is actually very good for specific use cases in servers. As well as an enterprise market, not huge, but it's there. And then in terms of software for drivers and stuff like that, and then like he mentioned, the deals with consoles and stuff like that, they are doing good. And so this is great though to see that AMD is coming out with an innovational products, and we're seeing them actually be competitive in the market again. And that's what we want, is more competition. In theory, supposed to get you the best product for the lowest price. Now, and also, hopefully we can see View come into play here, manufacturing CPUs, Intel manufacturing GPUs, and then we have this huge competitive market where you have lots of options to choose from.
And NVIDIA continues to shit on everyone, even if they're not the best card, because that's just how the market works.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, this makes our job as a PC enthusiast harder, but more desirable.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
People will be like, oh, I'm going to come to you for a build, because it makes even less sense now, because now we have, 5 sockets to choose from for their CPU or whatever, and they need to have people that understand that and are passionate about it in order to determine what to do. And I mean, like, 5 sockets in terms of, like, different companies at current platforms, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that's actually good for us. So, Zen Plus, microcode updates, right?
I was going to finish with GPU stuff since we talked about that.
Man.
Okay. So
I jumped backwards 2 ahead.
Their current biggest issue with GPU manufacturing is just GDDR5 and HBM availability and pricing.
Yes.
That has been very hard to get a hold of and causing prices to go up, which is going to cause graphic card prices to go up even further. But they are expanding and increasing their graphics card manufacturing ability. So we should see more graphics cards from them. However, there are rumors going around that a lot of their increase in graphics card manufacturing is going to be focused on things like the Frontier Edition.
Which makes sense in some ways.
And sucks for gamers.
Still.
But it's not like gamers will be able to buy the cards anyway.
Exactly,
so.
And maybe AMD is thinking about that a little bit. And they, of course, want to sell everything they can. We have to come to the understanding, no company selling graphics cards is like, we don't want to sell to gamers. We have a little topic on that here in a bit. But
fucking EVGA.
Yeah, EVGA. Oh man, we have a conversation to have with EVGA. So anyway, but yeah, I mean maybe AMD's thinking about that in terms of they have overproduced to help mining and gamers simultaneously before because they were selling so well. Crypto bubble popped and they went, oh crap, now we have a bunch of GPUs that nobody will buy because the used market gets flooded with really cheap GPUs and then there's no more gamers and no more miners because the gamers are either getting used cards or in that case they got the cards that they wanted because AMD was overproducing and so AMD just sat on this stock.
Yeah.
It was not good at all.
And think about it. If they put most of their development into the Frontier Edition, which is a more expensive card anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it does get bought by miners, they made more money.
They made more money, and yeah. So, I mean, I don't see this as being a bad move financially from AMD. I just wanted to see Navi be really good for gaming and be available.
So have
but Navi's not coming out till next year.
So we have to suck
is the estimation. So yeah. So basically this year our options are either going to be maybe we'll see some 12 nanometer desktop Vega that is actually at MSRP. Haha. Or you're going to be sticking with NVIDIA for the high end this year. So those are the options.
Which pretty much means buying used. Or spending $1,000.
for NVIDIA. Because, I mean, they're going to... Volta or Ampere, if that's what it's called, it's probably Volta base, is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And it might be worth the money.
Your best bet is going to be trying to buy one day one from NVIDIA.
I think you're right. Yeah. And hopefully I can do that.
If you buy one before miners know for a fact how it's going to perform.
How good it is at mining, you can probably get one. Yes. Yeah, exactly, because they don't know how good Volta
so
architecture would be.
Day one, you're going to be competing 99% against gamers and 1% against people testing it for mining.
And then day two is going to be like...
it'll be sold out for like a couple weeks.
Well, yeah, okay, because of all that, yeah. But what I'm saying is competition-wise, you're basically going to see bang, bang, flop.
Yeah.
And that's just it. And no more for gamers. If it's good. For mining, which it will be.
We know how Volta performs.
Yes. It's going to probably be very good for a specific algorithm for mining cryptocurrency.
Other than the GPU stuff, we got two little updates on one on Zen Plus and one on Zen 2. These are both specifically about Spectre's variant 2, which is the one that, it is very unlikely, according to AMD, that this will ever affect their chips. It can, theoretically, and therefore they want to protect it. Zen Plus is getting microcode level patches to help mitigate the Spectre variant.
Right.
And then Zen 2 is getting hardware level changes in processor cores to further address this.
Yep. And it surprises me that they're having a turnaround that quick, but Intel has claimed the same thing. So I don't know, maybe the engineers have finally found out a solution to it that's simpler than we thought.
They were very likely working together on figuring out a solution.
Yes.
Because it affects both.
Yeah, and they both announced it at the same time, saying, "Hey, we have a hardware solution for our next CPUs," which is like, what? Because that's unheard of. It takes like 6 years to develop a CPU. Yeah. We saw that from AMD. It took them so long to come out with Zen.
So Zen 2, from what we know, the design was finalized right around CES.
Yes.
So they had about 6 months from hearing about it until finalization.
Yep.
And so they had. What my assumption is that AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, and Google were all not just researching it and figuring out how it can affect things. They were all working together on solutions.
Yes, and that's they need to in this situation. They need to. So I'm glad that they were doing the right thing, so to speak.
This is an industry-wide problem. There should be an industry-wide solution.
Yes.
That hopefully doesn't create a new industry-wide problem.
Like random reboots? Oh, wait. That already happened.
Yeah.
I know. I love, update everything immediately, especially your servers. Wait, don't update anything now. It's going to reboot everything and cause crashes. Yeah. What do you want us to do?
Yes.
Well, your options are either completely unstable or completely vulnerable. I mean, you pick your poison.
At this point, it's almost safest to be vulnerable.
It really is because
Which is terrifying.
It's terrifying. You basically have to judge your scenario of, if this server crashes, do we have one that hopefully won't crash simultaneously that can compensate while this one restarts? Because if you do, then you might want to patch. But if you don't, it's like you also have to factor in, well, are we at all vulnerable to any kind of internet-based access that could potentially take over this, right? Which, most are.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
But I hope that this year we can see Vega on the desktop and I can get my hands on one for gaming. I would love to do that because FreeSync monitors are so much cheaper.
Maybe if they come out with their lower tier cards in Vega form.
Right. Because that's the frustration I have is I would love to spend $500 less on a monitor that is literally the same panel to get, but there's FreeSync instead of G-Sync. If I can get a Vega GPU on my hands, right? But I don't know if I can get my hands on one. Also, Alien Technology was asking, do we know if NVIDIA is releasing new cards? I would guess they will be releasing new cards at GDC?
GTC.
GDC
is an industry-wide
thing. This is a graphics technology conference, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's NVIDIA's conference. It's NVIDIA exclusive, correct?
I believe so.
I believe so, yeah. So GTC, which is, I believe, in March this year. It's usually in March, I think. They should be at least announcing new stuff. I don't know if they'll be available for purchase, but the rumors are they're going to announce Ampere, their new architecture, which is Volta-based as far as the rumors are saying. You can take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's essentially Volta Lite.
Yeah, right. That's what it's like, which probably means it's not going to have tensor cores on it. It's not going to have as much HBM or any.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some things taken out, but it's going to be the same core architecture. It's going to perform incredible in theory.
Yeah.
Now, my estimation would be around Computex. This is what they did, when they released Pascal. They're going to release really high-end variants.
Yeah.
So
we'll see 70 and 80 launch initially.
Yes.
And then later...
Maybe 60 with it. Maybe. Sometimes.
60 a few months later.
Usually, but...
Yeah. And then at Computex, we'll see the 1080 Ti. Or the 80 Ti version of it, essentially.
Galactic Jax, yes, we do look at chat. There is no Discord that we have set up for this right now. We just use the live chat on YouTube and Twitch. So we do read chat. I just hadn't clicked over here in a minute. So anyway, but yeah, and then in Computex, did you already mention in Computex we'll probably see a TI variant,
version, yeah,
and potentially we'll probably see a Titan come out too. They like to do that where they go, oh well, this is what you get if you really, really, really want the best and you want to pay for it. But the question is, can they fit a Titan in there?
V.
Well, yes, and
because they've kind of
done a Titan.
It seems like they've realized that the Titan shouldn't be a GTX card.
No,
so
it doesn't seem like they literally have. They took the GTX branding out of it.
But that was on the $3,000 variant.
Question is, will they do it for the future ones? Right. And so we might see them do that, but we might not. And that's understandable because especially if something like, the 1080 is $999 or $899, like there's not a good price range in there to fit the Titan. Because if it is 30% more CUDA cores, you can't just charge, like 20% more for the price or 10% more. They're going to charge like 50%.
If it is Volta without the tensor cores and without the HBM, it's going to be very hard to justify to people that don't need tensor cores
to buy. Yeah.
And I highly doubt tensor cores cost $1,500.
No.
Exactly.
Their tensor cores are pretty simple, actually. The way that they're architecturally designed is not that complicated.
Nintendo,
yes.
Yes. So Nintendo's earnings call was very interesting in my opinion. So the Switch has already surpassed the Wii U. The Switch has been out for 9 months, and it's already surpassed the Wii U, which has been out for years.
Yes.
On top of that, they revealed their top selling games. Number 1, I was actually kind of surprised by this. Super Mario Odyssey. It's not even been out 3 months. It's at 9 million units sold, which is more than Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Second place is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 7.33 million.
Odyssey deserved it, too, by the way. And Mario Kart's just a game. Everybody, like, if you own a Nintendo product, you should own Mario.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold more on the Switch than it did on the Wii U.
Yes. Which is kind of...
is a remake, not even a remake.
It's literally not a remake.
An HD upgrade.
It's an HD upgrade with a few extras.
Yeah.
That's why it's
selling
deluxe and
more
not HD.
Than the base version.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are going to complain about Nintendo doing a lot of remakes or remasters on the Switch, but that's the thing. So few people bought the Wii U, and more, or even further than that, so few people adopted a lot of the games on the Wii U that weren't like a couple core titles.
Yeah.
Like Smash Bros was probably one of the main titles for the Wii U.
It was. It definitely was. Not probably.
Well, I just don't know the exact numbers. That's why I say that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But because of that, a lot of people did not play these games. And so, while yes, for hardcore Nintendo people that buy every console like I do, we might be seeing games that we've already played. A lot of people haven't played these games.
Yep. So
and they're solid games. So
we
if
are
they
getting
can,
low on time, so just keep that in mind.
So if they can use these to fill in the gaps in between big titles, I don't care.
Yeah.
Also, Breath of the Wild at 6.7 million. So EA, how about single player being dead?
Basically.
How's Battlefront 2 working out for you?
Right. I know, it's funny because it's just like online is not always the way to go.
Yeah.
The people still really do like single player, especially in a mobile form factor.
Mm-hmm.
Or a console form factor. PC is going more towards the online, but that makes sense because they started it.
Yeah. And then Mario Kart 8 Mario Kart got announced for mobile. It's going to release sometime, all we know is next financial year, which could be anywhere between April and March of 2019. But we are getting a Mario Kart game on mobile, which is pretty cool. And then they detailed the release date of the Switch Online services. It's launching September of this year, unless it gets delayed for the 5th time.
Wii U had, 5 years, and Switch passed it in 1 year?
Yeah, 9 months is how long it took for the Switch to pass it.
Yeah, that's just, Alien Technology made that comment, and I agree, it's insane. But it's deserved.
Yeah.
The Switch is amazing. I own one. I'm selling it, tomorrow, but that's because I just don't use it. No, it's not because I don't play fun games, it's because I don't play games that much anymore.
Except ESO.
But no, it's...
So he doesn't play fun games.
You make me mad. No, I just don't play the Switch in particular that much. It's just... I have a lot of significant trouble playing with a controller now. I have tons of trouble readapting to it. And so, whenever I try and go to the Switch, I can't play comfortably. I'll talk more about that later in person, but I just can't. But also, it hasn't been entirely my style of gaming, right? But judging it, if I were doing a review of it right now, it is a 10 out of 10. They did an incredible job. And I don't have any complaints about it in terms of it as a console. I have complaints about it in terms of it's not for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So the price is still confirmed to be $19.99 annually or $3.99 a month. So yes, you will have to pay to play online, whereas currently you do not.
Yeah.
However, it's super cheap and you get other benefits with it. So I honestly I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
At $20 a year.
It's not bad. If $3.99 a month is still that's really cheap. I mean, there are individual games that cost more than that to play.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, you know, so.
And then there's Samsung.
So
we're not going to talk about their full earnings call because, quite honestly, I don't care about most of their products. Chip manufacturing was the big deal.
They're number one.
Yeah, number one.
Which does not surprise me at all.
No.
Because their silicon is incredible.
And they make DRAM.
And they have...
That's an automatic win.
They have in a lot of ways passed, I feel like, Intel in terms of silicon production.
Yeah.
I mean, not obviously in terms of, capacity. I mean, in terms of engineering. It's really impressive what they've been doing, honestly.
Yeah.
And so this doesn't surprise me at all. Plus, they're huge.
Yeah. So as far as
Samsung is almost a scary big company.
Oh, they definitely are a scary.
They are a scary big company. People forget that they make weapons. They own a city. Not kidding. They make some of the biggest buildings on the planet, including the Burj Khalifa. They make shipping tankers. Right, for shipping crude oil and stuff, as well as shipping container shippers. Losing my words for that, but you know what I mean. As well as, obviously, massive amounts of electronics and IoT and silicon.
They make everything. They are the company from WALL-E.
Well, yeah, they are. And that's the thing that people, I think, will forget, is in America, they're a tech company. Worldwide, and in particular in Korea, they are everything. They have a city. They have fashion lines. And I think they even have grocery stores. Which, by the way, Samsung started as a grocery store. It tells you that they know how to adapt. So that is something that people, I think, forget. Is this isn't surprising at all. Samsung's huge. So, yeah.
They also sponsor a lot of things in the one specific city in the U.S. most companies use to sue for IP rights. I wonder why.
What city?
I forgot what it's called. It's somewhere. I think it's in Texas. I don't remember.
Huh.
But I remember reading something about it, like a whole bunch of companies sponsor things in this area, and Samsung sponsors a whole bunch because it makes sense.
Because it makes sense.
Because make people in the city that you do lots of lawsuits in happy, and you win.
So Intel had $62.8 billion in revenue from chip manufacturing. Samsung had $69.1 billion. Intel's second place, correct? There's no one in between there. Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't think TSMC or GlobalFoundries was ahead of them, but I wanted to make sure. So obviously, like you pointed out here, DRAM price inflation has helped with this a lot. And in fact, if there's price fixing, they are not the biggest chip manufacturer in terms of financials, right? In that case, but that just depends on whether or not they're price fixing, which they might be, or they might actually just be the way it is. It might just be inflation because of demand. And then, what was this? Yeah, biggest boost to Samsung's Q4 earnings was chip manufacturing. Kind of insane.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it comes down to the increased prices of DRAM.
And I agree.
They're making lots and lots of money.
Yeah, they're making massive amounts. Also, I wanted to jump back to when we were talking about tensor cores earlier, just so people know. What the terminology I was trying to use was a low precision compute core. That's why they're cheap to manufacture. They're not doing like double precision, super detailed work. They're doing like 8-bit precision, not really high precision like now. Losing like 64-bit precision and stuff like that. So,
it is Marshall, Texas.
Texas
specifically.
Okay.
They've done everything from like high school scholarships in a lot of the area to, like I believe they sponsored like an ice rink or something weird like that.
That's definitely weird.
Yeah, it's essentially it's a very popular city for a lot of companies to do lawsuits in for IP rights. And so they want to make themselves look good to the people that would be on the juries in that city.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Samsung is also getting into making ASICs.
They are indeed.
Makes sense.
Why do I always forget what it stands for every single time, even though you told me literally earlier?
Application-specific
integrated circuit. I can't. don't know why I can't remember that. I know what an integrated circuit is. Anyway, so Samsung's going to be making ASIC mining chips. So again, ASIC, application specific integrated circuit. So basically, it's a chip, a CPU, so to speak, although it's central. It's not central, but it is a chip designed for a specific task, and that task exclusively, making them cheap and very quick at that. They're not having to manage multiple tasks and multiple algorithms and instruction sets. They're just dealing with this one thing. And that's why you can buy ASIC miners specifically for Dogecoin, specifically for Litecoin, and specifically for Bitcoin, and specifically for one other that's not Dogecoin, but is like Dogecoin.
Yeah, I don't know where you got Dogecoin from.
Because it's called the D3. If you look at the one from, not Butterfly Labs. Please, no, they're bad. Don't ever, no.
So, ASIC cards are the reason that Bitcoin is impossible to mine on graphics cards now, as far as being profitable. The difficulty, if I remember correctly, when ASICs really started, it was like 600,000, and now it's like in the billions.
Yep.
So, it's been just a skyrocketing in difficulty because ASICs are so good at what they do that if you order an ASIC miner, by the time you get it, it might not be profitable.
Yeah, I know, it's absolutely insane. So, and crypto is, the volatility of the entire cryptocurrency value market is just ridiculous to the point of, I do hesitate recommending people getting into it heavily. If you're getting into it because you're going to buy a 3 GPU with 970s, rig for doing mining to make a couple $100 a month, like that's one thing. But people that are investing tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's like, I don't think that's a good idea unless you actually have that cash, so that you are thinking of it with the mentality of purchasing these things, not investing in these things, because it's just too volatile. Even the stock market's too volatile in a lot of cases to recommend. So EVGA,
So let me explain. It's gonna take a couple minutes, but let me explain this as far as how this actually went down. Obviously, I want a new graphics card because I've got a shitty 970.
970s are still good, okay?
They're good for like 1080p, 60 FPS.
And that's what you're running.
For now.
My
plan is to buy a new graphics card first and then a new monitor.
No, which is the order it should be. And even like my RX 580 beats your 970. So.
And so ideally I want to get either a 1070 Ti or a 1080 or 1080 Ti. Plus mining.
Although you might want to wait for Amper. You'll have to see.
I know. But I would like to buy one. So what I did was I went to NVIDIA's website and EVGA's website because those places sell them for still at or really close to MSRP.
Yes.
And I got on all
actually at MSRP because EVGA's are with the added fees for the cooler. So it is MSRP,
so I got on all of the lists for notification of when they get in stock for all the cards I'm interested in.
Right.
Well, today I get a notification. Also I want to specify this. They have cards that you can buy when they're in stock, and then they have cards that you have to be part of their special club, which you can only get into by either posting like 100 posts on the forum or buying their
And they've had that kind of elite, it's called elite, right?
Yes.
For a while. Like, that has actually been a thing.
It's not a new thing.
Right. So keep that in mind, is don't assume they created this for the reasons that we're mad, but they're using it for reasons that are pissing us off.
If the card is only available for sale for Elite normally, then you can't even get on the waiting list unless you're in Elite. If you sort by what is in stock, it will literally only show what's in stock. It won't show everything that is available. Like if you have a card that's only in Elite, but it's not in stock, it still won't show because it's not available. So generally, the cards that are labeled Elite, you can't even get on the waiting list for.
And
I put myself on the waiting list for all of the non-Elite only cards that I would be willing to buy. I get the notification, I check, now the card is listed as Elite only. The card is now sold out. I checked this right before the stream. It is back to not being listed as Elite only.
Yeah, so now you can get notified. Now again, you just explained this, I believe, unless I misheard you somehow. The auto notify doesn't show up for cards that are supposed to be Elite exclusive when they're out of stock.
So they are actively made the decision to move this into Elite.
Yes.
And then pull it back out once it's sold out.
Yes. That's not okay.
They're actively saying unless you've already bought in our stuff before or you are a hardcore forum member.
Yes.
Sucks.
And so in order to qualify as elite status, do you have to be both of those or?
So
okay. So
let me pull up the details. Let me find one of the cards
okay.
that is listed as this. Also, they were earlier today discounting cards for elite members, like $779 for a 1080 Ti SC2 Elite is a standard price. Like that.
Yes.
It was discounted. It wouldn't tell you the price unless you were an elite member because you couldn't add it to your cards.
So,
but they're selling at below MSRP for some elite members.
Yes.
So what you have to do is you either have to have bought a recent graphics card, and that by recent I mean 9 series or later.
Yep.
Or you have to have within the last 12 months purchased 2 or products for option 2. Essentially, like you can either buy like power supplies, graphics cards, stuff like that. You have to have bought 2 of those cards or products.
Okay. So now let us explain why this bothers us. Because again, elite and those qualifications for elite have been around for a while.
Yes.
The issue here is EVGA is basically saying, unless you're a minor, we won't sell to you.
Yeah.
Now, that may sound confusing because isn't this for people that are gamers, right? Like, and they're going to play it off as, oh, well, we're for gamers. That's why we did this. No. Because you have to come to the understanding that the only people that are elite members are either the biggest enthusiasts because forum posts or they've purchased products before. Now, in those cases, they probably already have high-end hardware and aren't straight looking for the newest GPUs. They probably already have 1080 Ti's before the crypto bubble was there, right? Before it was consuming everything. Or if they're a super big forum member, it's likely they're also an enthusiast and have that stuff. And if they don't, they might just be interested in this and don't have the financials to back that. But that means they're probably not looking for a card right now anyway. So, again, I want to put that out as the majority. It doesn't mean there aren't enthusiasts looking for cards like us. We are. But a lot of these people that have bought these cards before from EVGA that are elite members aren't necessarily the people that need the cards. It's the base level gamer
there's like
that needs the
4
cards.
cards in this list that aren't 10 series.
Yeah. So this is for... This is, you know, the elite status. So what they're doing is basically saying, unless you're an enthusiast or a minor, you can't buy these cards. And again, the enthusiasts aren't the ones that are going to be looking for these in this way for the most part. And so and let me make sure people really fully understand, as minors have probably bought from them directly before, because if retailers have sold out or have inflated prices, they're going to buy direct. And in that case, they can obtain this elite status. Now, of course, I want to throw out something that there could be something that we don't know that makes this okay. Maybe, you know, maybe EVGA, if people are buying in massive bulk, don't count them towards that thing. They count them as like a wholesale account and don't count them towards elite. So there could be more to this, but it does not seem that way at all. And a minor could
I have
still
no problem
buy.
with them having the elite member exclusive even during this time. Because, like, generally when you're looking at their list, the elite member exclusive cards are the ones where you can customize the color. There's, like, extra things to go along with them that make sense for people that are enthusiasts and buy a lot of EVGA products. However, my problem is when they take a product that is not listed as elite member, shift it to elite as soon as it becomes available, and then shift it back out as soon as it's not available.
That's not okay.
So they're literally taking cards that were originally and currently listed as for everyone, and then deciding upon availability, nah.
Yeah, only elite. Which, in that sense, tells us, oh, when they get stock in, they are saying minors only.
Yes.
That's what it tells us. And that is the opposite direction that the market needs to go. In fact, staying open is one thing, but
just
going
sell to everyone. If minors end up buying it, then
if minors buy them all, then
but at least gamers have a chance.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to be like, oh, I can purchase this before the minors do.
Yes,
because
I
you're paying attention.
Got the email immediately. I was on my phone when the email came in. I clicked on the link, and it was elite member exclusive, so I couldn't buy it. I would have probably been able to buy one. Yeah,
right. And so it's like people that are looking for new GPUs literally can't get them because of this. That's not acceptable in my opinion, and it just makes me mad. Now, we unfortunately are getting low on time. So, do you want to go over this final thing or no?
Yes.
Yes.
It'll only take a couple minutes.
Okay.
So, I wanted to bring this up. I wasn't originally going to talk to him about this beforehand, but I did anyway. he had brought up before in a previous podcast how he did not buy AMD stock or wouldn't buy any tech company stock.
I don't invest in stock because, insider knowledge and influence, right?
Yes.
Now, we're not huge, but that doesn't mean we can't have an influence on the market.
Yes.
Plus,
we should also be deciding the stuff beforehand.
Right. But we study this stuff, and so, we can predict fairly accurately, but I especially, I don't want... I don't want a case where if all of a sudden, say I wake up tomorrow and I have 500,000 subscribers, I don't want to have like, oh crap, well I have all this stock that I need to sell off or now I can use influence. Like, I don't want there to be the incentive there. Not that I would ever do anything with that incentive. In fact, I believe strongly that I could be totally fine with not using any kind of influence, even if I was a huge channel, to get, increase in stock prices. But I'm not comfortable with that even being an opportunity.
Yes. And so him having talked about that before,
I do not have stock in any company, but especially I would never invest in a tech company because of that.
And for reference, I don't know what stock I have because I have it all auto invest either through the 401k through my work or through Acorns.
Right, and so I think that's acceptable. You're not picking anything; it's just money that's being auto invested by a firm. That is something, in my opinion, is acceptable.
Yeah.
And a 401k, of course. I mean, that's
and so my question for him was about cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is much more volatile. It's much easier to influence,
especially as a tech-oriented channel.
I wanted to ask him why it is that he is okay with mining and buying cryptocurrency, because you've done that too.
Yes. And
just anything with cryptocurrency if you're not with stock.
And I thought that was a really, really, really good question. And I've had a little bit of time to think about it, because he did mention it to me earlier, because I kind of guessed what it was.
Yeah. I gave you hints.
You didn't give me any hints. I'm just a genius. So anyway, no. But, so, after thinking about that some, I think I agree with you. And I think it'd be best if I just got rid of all my crypto and just didn't play around with that anymore. Of course, there is the other aspect of me liking to provide people with content related to it in terms of how do you do this.
I think that can be different though, because you can do things like any crypto you get from mining, you can either like donate or put like sell immediately rather than holding. I think that especially
so
holding
there's
is
no
important.
Influence whatsoever.
By the time you upload the video, you shouldn't have that crypto anymore. Might be one way to do it.
That could be,
or if you're just going to donate it, then it doesn't matter.
Right. I mean, and plus at that point, it's such a small amount that could be getting created by a crypto mining video tutorial or whatever that, I mean, it's probably not worth anything anyway. It might just disappear into thin air, literally, because I use NiceHash and they only pay out every so often. So of course I'll probably make an updated video in like a channel update talking about what my final decision is on this. So I'm not going to say anything for final now, but I think it might end up being a WordTech policy that you can't
for reference. And this is something that I brought up to him, is that part of what got me thinking about this was this wasn't recently. I'd actually heard about this a while back. But I believe it was, I know The Verge and I believe a couple other places have done this, where they've stated that their employees had to sell off all of their crypto.
Yeah.
And they can't, like, buy or invest in it because it's so easy to...
Because they could make a subtle article and all of a sudden the value of Bitcoin goes up or the value of Litecoin goes up and then go, all right, now I'll sell all mine.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. Yep. Having that influence, even if you're only able to make 1% profit on it, is not okay.
Yeah. It's such an easy market.
It's journalistic ethics is what it becomes.
Stock is already something that you have to be very careful about owning and doing anything related to. It's far worse with crypto, in my opinion, because of how volatile it is.
And I think I agree. So, and again, I mean, I'm leaning towards the idea of it being a policy that people that work with WordTech, especially people that work consistently. I mean, if there's somebody that does one video or more basic stuff,
or they like do like a guest article or something,
right? Or if they're operating behind the scenes in a way that they aren't ever on camera, so they don't influence the content, then it might be acceptable, unless they were actually like fully under our hire, then we might force that. But people are just kind of voluntarily working for me, like you are working for WordTech to help us out, right? But at least for me, I think it's going to be something, and probably for both of us, since you're on the channel quite a bit, that maybe is something that we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, I'll release a formal video about that, talking about my concerns and that, probably in a channel update. But I think that's an important thing that you brought up, and it's something that I hadn't thought of for whatever reason. So, yeah. Good to know, I guess. Good to think about. Of course, there is the unfortunate part that means potentially up to a couple $100 a month less can go into the channel.
Yeah.
And that is the one thing where it's like influencing it to make profits one thing, but maybe if I were only doing it and 100% of the money went towards the channel and I had some kind of financial records of that so that can be provable if people ask for it.
And maybe once you get to a point where the channel is self-sustaining, you cut that off anyway.
Yeah, right. Because right now, like $200 a month, like
that's an
extra
product
That's
review.
an extra product review. That's a big deal for my business, right? But in the future, you know, if whether I'm getting products for free, which I have my own policies on that, or purchasing them because I'm big enough, you know, and I mean I want WordTech to be as ethical as possible.
Yeah.
And that's why I haven't come up with a formal policy about it yet, but we may never accept review products again. We currently do, and we have, and we state that in the videos that we have, like from Rosewell and stuff.
It's not like you guys haven't shit on a company before that you've gotten a product.
I mean, this is true. Rosewell gave us a pair of headphones,
Yeah.
and Mirko, who's done a lot of videos on the channel, he reviewed them, or I can't remember if he was working on reviewing them.
He was working on a review.
Yeah, he was working on reviewing them. I don't think he had posted it yet.
He just shit-talked them on Twitter.
Yeah, he posted a picture of the headphones that had broken on Twitter because they literally just fell apart, and he was like, "Oh, looks like Rosewell doesn't know how to make headphones," is basically what he said.
Yeah.
And they stopped sending us review products for a while after that,
Yeah.
and didn't even contact us for a while. They finally did, but we tagged them in it and everything. So I understand that, but there is also
And see, that's how you know whether a company is worthwhile with working with or not. There's two levels to it. There's a professional way to handle that, and I do think that Mirko didn't handle that in the most professional way.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
though,
I thought it was
okay.
hilarious
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
But
I
companies,
was okay with it.
Companies
like,
need to be willing to accept criticism, and if they shut people out who criticize them,
then I'll talk about that.
Oh,
Like, hey,
no, yeah,
blah blah blah. Yeah. So now
I feel like there are companies that are worth working with and companies that are not.
Yes.
And that's going to be a tough thing to judge, especially as it's a new relationship with a business.
Right. And so the bigger concern for me, the reason that I'm considering that being a policy of not accepting review products, rather than I should stop hitting the table. I forgot our mic's not on the boom stand right now. You know, so of course there is the aspect of you don't want to work with crappy companies and you don't want the companies to influence your review in any way. Like, oh, we won't send you products if you blah, blah, blah. If you're not open about that, and there are some YouTubers that have done stuff like that, it's like, oh, I'll give your product a great review if you give it to me for free or give me money, sure. But there's the other aspect of it. I think it makes it factually harder, and maybe for reasons that people haven't thought of, to like openly and honestly review the product. And not just because you have a tendency towards, oh, I like this company, they gave me free stuff. But in my opinion, if you're not paying for that product out of your own pocket, you don't really know how to judge it on a price format.
Now, though, then, if you do that, as the company grows, eventually you'd get to the point, presumably, where you're buying products for people to review. They're still not buying that out of their own pocket at that point.
And that's where it becomes something that's why I haven't released any kind of formal policies. So I'll probably do a channel update video about some of these policies, so to speak, on this kind of stuff, because it's something I'm not sure about, because there's an ethical part of it that comes from me as like, you know, if I get a $5,000 rig to review from Main Gear to review their work, right? It's hard for me to be honest of, is this $5,000 worth it, right? Because it's like, I got it for free, and even though I know it cost $5,000, it's like, I don't know what it feels like to have it cost $5,000. And when you purchase a product out of your own pocket, if something goes wrong with it, you tend to be a lot harsher on it if you spent a lot of money on that, just naturally. And so that's something I really I'm not sure about, because like you said, as the company grows, it's the company purchasing the products, not the people, and so the people reviewing it don't objectively know what it's like to purchase that product. And so the only way around that would either be removing the policy. Whether you're getting a product for free from the company or the company is buying the product for you, you pretty much have to go in with the expectation of, would I spend this money on this product? I feel like is how you have to do the review, and that's the only, there's going to be no other way to do it. I think that the only other solution would be forcing employees to buy the products that they review. Which point that would be like, no, I'm not going to do that, right? And it's like, I mean, of course, there could be the aspect of, oh, well, instead of the company buying it, I'm going to pay everybody twice as much, and now you can afford to buy the products you want to review.
But that also means that, which this might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. only products that would be reviewed at that point were stuff people already wanted to buy.
Yes, and so there's ups and downs there, is where if you already want to buy it,
Yeah.
then there is the idea of, well, that's probably something that is important to review, both as a market standpoint, but is also something that is probably, in a way, more likely to be a good product. And that could be a bad thing too, though, where it's like we end up having overly positive reviews on everything because, of course, before I spend $1,000 on something, I research the crap out of it, right? Whereas if we can go, oh, there's a new $1,000 or $3,000 GPU out, company purchases it, I don't have to sit there and research it, my job's to research it, right? And so that's where it becomes a complicated thing. And so I you know, the cryptocurrency stuff is a much more like set in stone thing where it's like I'm not 100% sure yet, I haven't implemented anything, but that's more obvious. Whereas this is something that's a lot more complicated of an area. So I want to talk about one last thing before we get off.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go really fast. It's this little thing that some people may or may not have noticed.
Probably not.
Probably not, because it's tiny. I am doing custom cable sleeving for Calvin, who has been on the show before. You guys that follow us consistently have seen him on the show. Last week he was on the show. So I'm sleeving his power supply cables. It's my first time doing custom sleeving, so I told him I'd do it for free because I have to buy the tools to do my own anyway. And so I'm basically just buying the materials to do it with and you know, giving that to him. And I've had an interesting experience so far. I'm going to be doing tutorial videos on it, as well as some recommendations on the tools you need, because I think not only are the right tools important, but the right quality of tools in certain scenarios are important. Because I broke my pin puller, for example. I will, of course, talk about that in a dedicated video, but I just want to let you guys know that some really high-level modding stuff is coming up in terms of this. And, you know, and I'm doing, obviously, heat shrinkless. As you can see here, there's 0 heat shrink there.
I don't think they can see that very well.
They probably can't, but the camera's not going to autofocus if I got it close. Point is, there's going to be a dedicated video coming on doing this sleeving. It's all sleeving from Mainframe Customs. They're Telios sleeving. Really good stuff. I'm very happy with it, actually. You can't, I mean, even in bright light, I can't tell that there is a black wire inside there. It's a really, really good stuff. It's very, very fine. So, anyway, again, there'll be a dedicated video on it. I'm really excited to talk about this and give you guys multiple videos and tutorials on how to do different aspects of this. But in my personal opinion, not that I've done any yet technically, but I thought this before I bought this too. I think custom cable sleeving is more enthusiast and more challenging than custom water cooling at this point. Albeit maybe in some ways a little less risky, but in other ways a little more risky. But the materials needed and the skills needed to do it are a little bit higher than I think a lot of people would expect. And so again, I'll make some videos on that. But I think that's it for tonight. We got to get going because I got to wake up early. So yeah. Also, Alien Technology says he wants to do custom sleeving. Yeah, I'll definitely talk about it. The first video will probably be going over the tools, where to purchase them, and you know, recommendations for which ones, and then where to purchase all the materials for actually doing the sleeving. Then the tutorials will come after that, because I've only done a couple of individual cables so far, and I want to get a little better at it before I actually do raw tutorials, so that if I run into any weird issues, which I have so far, but any more, that I can address them in the video. Thank you everybody very much for watching. Obviously don't forget to like and subscribe and check out all the links in the description down there. We've got a little link to email updates about WordCast, which will just be emails regarding WordCast, so either before we start or if like the time changes or it gets canceled. And it's an email that's sent out by me. So go ahead and subscribe to that. And of course, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let me know what you think of the show. And I mean, that's really all we have for today. Again, new time, 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific time instead of 9 to 11 p.m. Pacific time because of new work schedules and the like. But thank you everybody for watching, and of course, just have a good night, everybody, or a good day if you're watching this out.